Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the final Finance Committee for 2025. It's hard to believe that this year has gone by already. Wow. Can I get a roll call, please?
Member Cahill.
Here.
Member Childress.
Here.
Member Covert.
Here.
Member Desart. Member Eckhoff. Member Evans. Member Galassi.
Here.
Member Garcia.
Here.
Member Heather. Member Honig.
Here.
Member Krajewski. Member LaPlante. Member Martinez. Member Ozag. Member Schwarzy. Member Tornatori. Member Yu. And Member Zay.
Okay, do we have any public comments today? No, good. Okay, just quick remark I have, please take note that items 6C through 6G of the budget transfers are the budget transfers from the clerk's office that have been requested by this committee, at least for the last two finance meetings. As of today, no further request for funding has been received from the clerk's office. So moving on, looking for an approval of minutes for 25-2923 Finance Committee, regular meeting Tuesday, November 25th, 2025. We've got a motion by, I think, Vice Chair Cahill, second by Member Heather. Any discussion on these? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to budget transfers, may I get a motion for 26-0055, transfer of funds from other professional services to regular salaries in the amount of $47,819 to cover all fiscal year 26 salaries for the Regional Office of Education. We've got a motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by Member Galassi. Any discussion on these items? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. May I get a motion to approve 26-0058 transfer of funds from furniture, machine equipment, small value to IT. And IT equipment small value, dues and memberships, repair and maintenance other equipment, travel expense, postage and postal charges, to regular salaries in the amount of $11,945 to cover all fiscal year 26 salaries in the Regional Office of Education. We've got a motion by, I believe, Member Krajewski, second by Member Zay. Any discussion on these items? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. May I get a motion to approve 26-0061, transfer of funds from regular salaries to food and beverages, cleaning supplies, copier usage, IT equipment, capital lease, and postage and postal charges in the amount of $5,713 for the fiscal year 2025 for the county clerk. Who made the motion? Member Zay, second by Member Krajewski. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And we get a motion to approve 26-0062, transfer of funds from regular salaries to operating supplies and materials, food and beverages, fuel and lubricants, other professional services, and wireless communication services in the amount of $47,951 for fiscal year 2025 for the county clerk in the election division. Who made the motion? Member Schwarzy, second by Member Krajewski. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. May I get a motion to approve 26-0063, transfer of funds from regular salaries to repair and other maintenance equipment, repair and maintenance auto equipment, rental of office space, travel expense, copier usage, and postage and postal charges in the amount of $11,621 for fiscal year 2025 for the county clerk in the election division. Motion was by Member Schwarzy, second by Member Evans. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. May I get a motion to approve 26-0064, transfer of funds from regular salaries and overtime to other contractual expenses and software in the amount of $113,177 for fiscal year 2025 for the county clerk election division. We've got a motion by Member Heather, second by Member Schwarzy. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. May I get a motion to approve the transfer of funds 26-0065, transfer of funds from overtime to software in the amount of $19,954 for fiscal year 2025 for the county clerk election division. I'm sorry. $19,454. Who made the motion on that? Member Schwarzy, second by member Galassi. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. May I get a motion to approve 26-0031 budget transfers 12/9/2025 various companies and accounting units? Moved by, I think, member Krajewski, second by member Yu. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you so much. Moving on to procurement requisitions and giving you over to Vice Chair Cahill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for approval on FIP 0033-25, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order issued to Alliant Insurance Services, Inc., Trinity Risk Solutions, to secure DuPage Care Center liability insurance for finance tort liability for the period of January 1st, 2026 to January 1st, 2027, for a contract total amount not to exceed $278,296, vendor selected pursuant to DuPage County Procurement Ordinance.
A motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by member Heather. Is there any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to human, thank you, Vice Chair Cahill. Moving on to human services and member Schwarzy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to discharge the Human Services Committee with regards to agenda items 7B1, 7B2, and 7B3.
A motion by member Schwarzy to discharge the committee, second by member Yu. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Those are discharged.
Thank you. I move on item FIR 20825, acceptance of an extension of time for the DuPage Care Center Foundation Music Therapy Grant for program year 25, extend through January 31st, 2026.
Good motion by member Schwarzy, second by member Desart, I believe. Is there any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move on FIR 126, acceptance of an extension of time for the DuPage Care Center Foundation for the Foundation Coordinator Grant for program year 25 to extend through December 31st, 2025.
And a motion by member Schwarzy, second by member Heather. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move on FIR 226, acceptance of an extension of time for the DuPage Care Center Foundation Recreation Therapy Grant for program year 25 to extend through February 28, 2026.
Motion by member Schwarzy, second by member Evans. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move on HSP 5925, awarding resolution issued to Optimum Management Resources to provide technical assistance and consultation services to the DuPage County Homeless Continuum of Care for the period January 1, 26 through December 31, 26 for a contract total not to exceed $37,350.
A motion by member Schwarzy, second by member Desart. Is there any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move on HSP 6025, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Pulmonary Exchange Limited for rental of respiratory care equipment for the DuPage Care Center for the period January 18, 26 to January 17, 27 for a total contract not to exceed $35,000.
And a motion by member Schwarzy, second by member Heather. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move on HSP 6125, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Music Speaks LLC for music therapy services for the residents at the DuPage Care Center for the period of January 12, 26 to January 11, 27 for a contract total not to exceed $62,275.72.
Motion by member Schwarzy, second by member Desart. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Finally, I move on HSR 1925, recommendation for the approval of a commitment to Home Investment Partnerships Act funds and to enter into a home agreement with Taft and Exmoor LP, an Illinois limited partnership in the amount of $1,750,000 for construction of a 42-unit affordable rental housing development for families and persons with disabilities.
Motion by member Schwarzy, second by member Heather. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, member Schwarzy. Moving on to judicial and public safety, member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to discharge the Judicial and Public Safety Committee as to agenda items 7C1 through 7C9.
We've got a motion by member Evans, second by member Heather. We've got a question by member Zay.
Yeah, just on the discharge. We didn't have a committee meeting. Now we have 9 items on the agenda. I mean, what's going on? I mean, that seems kind of weird that we didn't have anything last week.
Yeah,
now
and
all
I
of a sudden we have
apologize for
9
that. At the time that I canceled the meeting, there were only 2 agenda items and then,
Not your
well,
fault.
I know, but still.
Just
I
couldn't,
didn't
We've
need
got
to come to
Evan
the-
Shields up here. Do you want to
just
say
couldn't
something?
wait. So
As Chair Evans said, we only had 2 items at the time of the committee meeting. All the others came in between when the committee would have been held and today's meeting.
can we charge a penalty for anybody that puts anything in? Like $10 or anything like that per agenda item? No? Okay, thank you.
Is there a reason why they came in late? I mean, we're buying some autos here. I mean, that stuff should have been known in advance.
The vehicles were known in advance. There was some miscommunication between departments on getting that on the agenda, so that was just a minor slip up, but the others were, we were not aware of them.
Well, I know, it's not your fault, but I think you need to track down, they said there's miscommunication.
I
Don't
think-
figure out how to fix the miscommunications and.
Donuts.
And I think this is an unusual case because we don't have a second meeting in December. So if we were to wait for another meeting in December, we're not going to get it till January. So there's a little
Well,
bit
more the reason why you should get stuff done in advance.
Understood.
Because you know there's no second meeting to come in late.
Right.
They're still trying to gather 6 signatures for another finance meeting.
I'd like to.
Thank you. Moving on. Okay, so we've got a motion and a second to combine the items. All in favor?
I,
Discharge, sorry, to discharge the items. All in favor?
I,
Any opposed?
okay, thank you, Madam Chair. I move on item 26-49, transfer funds from other professional services to IT equipment capital lease in the amount of $4 to cover the expense of the Toshiba lease of a copy machine for FY25.
We got a motion by member Evans, second by anybody? Member Honig? Okay, any discussion on this item? Member Zay?
I know we all complain about this. Isn't there a threshold? I mean, I'm sure we did more than $4 worth of paperwork to put this on the agenda. I mean, this is ridiculous. There needs to be some kind of threshold, $100, $200, something that this is. I mean, if someone's gonna go to jail over $4, I've got about 17 people I can recommend to go. Of course, I'm not one of them, but that's, you know.
Okay, Jeff.
Unfortunately, this goes back to the state's attorney's opinion that we had a couple of years ago. When there's a budget transfer, no matter what dollar amount that touches personnel or capital, the board needs to approve it. So to keep everything consistent, no matter what the dollar amount, we feel that it's in the best interest to get this approved by the board. I will
But
tell
it's
you.
just an opinion. It doesn't mean we have to do it, right? I mean, we're kind of our own body. No, we shut you off because we don't want to hear from you.
The statute says if it affects personnel or capital, the board must pass it by a 2/3 vote. So I guess if this board doesn't like the statute, it would be a legislative amendment.
Spend more money.
Member Gajewski.
Questions, can we just send a letter to the Attorney General asking one specific item for $4 if we have to do that? And then the second thing, I assume that every one of these that comes to us is an even dollar amount. I gotta believe there's change in there, like 30 cents, 50 cents.
We don't do rounding.
Oh,
I mean, I'm sorry, we do rounding, we don't do the cents.
so we don't do rounding in the sense, can we round to the $10? I mean, we're not including the cents. I assume that's interpretation. We're in violation of the statute because we're not adding 32 pennies onto this thing. Right?
It does not violate the statute.
The rounding doesn't, so we don't, but
No,
$4 does, but 99 cents or 82 cents doesn't.
that's correct.
So this is probably less.
And did it say that in the?
Or it could be higher.
It was probably three, I said it was probably $3.62.
The AG opinion just quoted from the statute that if it affects personnel or capital for any county expenditure for elected officials or for departments,
But it says you can round the cents off.
it does not say that.
Well, but then we're not complying if that's the case. I mean, you're literally reading it that says we have to do $4. Well, if it's little reading, it's gotta be the change too.
That the statute doesn't address the amount.
Okay, but we're interpreting the amount as not including change. We can interpret the amount to not include anything under $100.
We disagree.
Okay, your interpretation is that doesn't make any sense. If you're gonna say you have to do it exactly, then the change should be included in all these.
Okay, thank you for your input on that. Can we get a vote on this? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move on JPS, or I don't know why I keep saying that, 26-53. Transfer funds from operating supplies and materials to IT equipment capital lease in the amount of $700 to cover the increased cost of the copier lease. That's 18th Judicial Court.
A motion by member Evans, second by member Desart, question by member Eckhoff.
How long does this lease go? Does anybody know? I hate this computer. I use it all the time. I'm hoping.
Do we know how long this
Alright,
lease
get back
lasts
to me
for? I don't have my computer in front of me. I don't remember.
So let me know before county board.
The Toshiba copiers were contracted into a couple of years ago on a 5-year lease, so they probably have another 3 years to go.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Okay, any other questions on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move on 26-25, recommendation for the approval of an agreement with Clausen Miller PC to provide professional consultation services related to collective bargaining of modifications to the agreement between the chief judge of the court and AFSCME for the period of January 10th, 2026 through January 9th, 2027 for the 18th Judicial Circuit Court for a contract total amount not to exceed $30,000.
Motion by member Evans, second by member Desart. Is there any discussion on this item? All those in favor then?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move on JPS-CO-10-25, recommendation for the approval for, amendment to purchase order 7363-1 serve issued to Strikers Inc. to increase the contract encumbrance in the amount of $50,000 for a new contract total not to exceed $290,000.
Got a motion by member Evans, second by member Yu. Any discussion on this item? Member Yu.
So I just had a quick question because I was taking a look at the decision memo of why the invoice is dated back to February 2025. Can we get some more information about why it took so long for this invoice to come in? Also, because I know that Strikers, we just did a contract renewal and it was for over, I think it was for $400,000. So this one is an amended contract of 290. So yes, I just want to know about this missing invoice.
Okay, do we have anyone from the sheriff's office here on the online? Deputy Chief Bilodeau, are you online? No. Got any more? Okay.
I'll do my best to answer this one. Regarding the invoices that came in from February, the sheriff's office doesn't.
Evan, I'm here. I'm sorry. This is Dan Bilodeau. I'm here. So we're working off of Eddie's computer and we were having some technical difficulties. So we would have to have Stryker come in and explain why they were 10 months delayed in billing on that February thing. We follow Strykers religiously because that's our body armor. This amendment is for the FY25 contract, not for the FY26. That $400,000 was for the body armor going forward, starting in FY26. So this is just so that we can pay the bills that they were very delinquent in sending us.
Thank you so much. Okay. Any other discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move on JPS CO 1 26, amendment to purchase order 7391 serve issued to Journal Technologies, Inc. for the case management system for additional funds for monthly storage in the amount of $6,289.
A motion by member Evans, second by member Heather. Any discussion on this item? Member you.
Sorry, I had a similar question with regard to this one for additional funds for monthly storage. This is pursuant to contract. So I was like, was there a reason that the monthly storage went up all of a sudden for the 2025 contract?
Okay. Yep. If you're coming up to explain.
Hi. So we have a contract with Journal for our case management system. We added on to that contract the storage, which we didn't anticipate when we built the system, to be honest. And so we have to keep amending the contract to add the storage component. So it keeps increasing the contract incrementally.
Don't you guys already build in the storage amount into the contract?
No, not when we originally built it, no, and we just keep amending the contract.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Any other discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move on JPSP 63 recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Ray O'Hara and Company for the purchase of uniforms and accessories for all sworn employees and new hires for the sheriff's office for the period of December 30th, 2025 through December 29th, 2026, per contract total of not to exceed $458,000.
A motion by member Evans, second by Vice Chair Cahill. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move on JPSP 1 26, awarding resolution issued to Curry Motors Frankfurt, Inc. to provide 2 Ford Transit cargo vans for the sheriff's office for a contract total amount not to of $120,720.
Got a motion by member Evans, second by member Desart. Questions by member Schwarzy.
Thank you. Just curious, I believe these are all the next 3 agenda items, 18 total vehicles. They're replacing used vehicles, right? Under the vehicle replacement plan.
Deputy Chief Bilodeau.
That is correct. The fleet maintenance, and maybe if I can get ahead of member Krajewski's question as well. Fleet maintenance here, they tell us which vehicles are being taken out of service. Technically speaking, we do not own the vehicles. This is the first time that we have actually done the paperwork. That's where the confusion was. Fleet maintenance did the procurement requisitions for us. I thought they were putting them in. They thought we were putting them in. The reason that they had to be discharged like this is because Ford provided us with a December 21st cutoff date to order these under these contracts. So if we would have had to wait till January, we would not have been able to get them. That was the reason for the rush. So I apologize for the delay in that. But traditionally speaking, fleet maintenance tells us when the vehicles come out of service based on their mechanical assessment of those vehicles, which vehicles need to be replaced. So we're replacing 2 transport vans, 3 civilian models. I put that in quotes because they're for detectives, and then 13 of the regular squad cars. And all of those were at the recommendation of fleet maintenance.
Thank you. Quick question, follow-up, because I heard you say something. We don't own these vehicles, we lease them?
No, the sheriff's office, they've not been in the sheriff's office budget. This has all changed with the budget, with the vehicle replacement fund. But fleet maintenance has always been the ones that owned them and purchased them, and then we outfit them. So it's been a collaborative effort between us and fleet maintenance since long before I've been here. But this is the first time that I can recall that we have actually put them onto the board or the agenda.
Gotcha. Thank you very much.
Member Krajewski.
My question again relates to all 3 of these, but we're spending almost $1 million buying 18 vehicles. I know in the past, allegedly DuPage Ford dealers don't want to bid on this. We're going out to Frankfurt. Did we again look at the DuPage Ford dealers to see if they could do this?
This is state contract purchasing, sir. These vehicles are all on a state contract. Every Ford dealer will sell them for at or near the exact same cost.
Okay. But again, the question is the DuPage firm.
None of them had them available. I would have to defer to fleet maintenance. They did all of the legwork on finding these vehicles.
I know we have to get this in now, but I would suggest with us reaching out and see if any of these DuPage Ford dealers would be able to do that. So, I mean, 18 vehicles, $1 million, a lot of money to be spending. I think we could be able to get the same pricing toward one of the DuPage Fords.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other, members A?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I know we've had delays in the past. Is it still a long delay to get these vehicles and then a more delay to get them outfitted?
No, not if we're able to order them now, we should be able to get a quick turnaround on them. That was part of the reason for the rush on this. And we have worked with our vendor, Public Safety, and we have a pretty good rotation with getting vehicles upfitted and out on the street. So no, I don't think we're gonna have any extensive delays.
Great, thank you.
Okay, member Desart. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, I'm in support of the purchase of these 18 vehicles. Is it a purchase or is it another lease? Or do these belong to DuPage County? I had a couple of questions, but I was confused when you said we don't own these vehicles. Do you mean just the sheriff's office doesn't own the vehicles, but DuPage County owns the vehicles?
I can answer that.
Yeah.
All of our vehicles at DuPage County, we own. We do
Right.
not lease our vehicles. We own all of the vehicles. Whether they're owned by the sheriff's office, fleet, that's a matter of, kind of where the money comes from, but we do not lease our vehicles.
Like 6-7. I'm joking. So good. So that leads me to my questions then that I can ask. I know we have a mileage threshold, and I know that the vehicles still have a life in them. So when I was going over this homework, I was wondering, what do we do with the vehicles that still have a life in them?
That's a great question.
Do we sell them on auction? Do we trade in? What do we do?
All of the above. So we look at, there are several reasons why the sheriff's office, they're a intense user of our vehicles, so it needs to be in the best possible shape, obviously. And so depending on the condition of the vehicles, it could be they were involved in a wreck, then they're scrapped, right? If they still have life on them, they might be downcycled to a less intense use within the county. Say facilities management around the campus or public works around the plants. But we look at what it, if we do get trade-in value, what that is, if it's more value there. We look at doing government auctions. So we look at all different options, how to obtain the highest possible value.
Excellent. Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this item? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move on JPSP 2-26, awarding resolution issued to Curry Motors Frankfurt, Inc. to provide 3 Ford Explorers for the sheriff's office for a contract total amount of $120,327.
Motion by member Evans, second by member Schwarzy. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move on JPSP 3-26, awarding resolution issued to Curry Motors Frankfurt, Inc. to provide 13 Ford Interceptors for the sheriff's office for a contract total amount of $598,559.
Got a motion by member Evans, second by member Desarts. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, member Evans. Moving on to Public Works and member Childress.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to discharge the Public Works Committee as to the agenda item 7D1 and 7D2.
Got a motion to discharge the items, second by member Zay. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on 7D1, 2639, the transfer of funds from the account, the contingency account in the amount of $592,000 to cover the cost of electricity for facilities management in the FY25 fiscal year.
Got a motion by member Childress, second by member Desart. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on D2, 7D2, PWR 126 for the renewal of Steep Run Water Tower Lease Agreement for Verizon Wireless.
Got a motion by member Childress, second by member Desart. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on FMP 5425 on the recommendation for the approval of a contract to Helm Mechanical to furnish, deliver, and install a domestic hot water storage tank in the jail for facilities management for a period of December 10, 2025 through December 9, 2026, for a contract total amount not to exceed $107,558.
A motion by member Childers, second by member Desart. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on FMP 3225 on the recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase amount, purchase order to HD Supply for maintenance, repair, operating, and cleaning supplies for various public works facilities for a period of December 9, 2025 through June 30, 2027, for a total contract amount not to exceed $45,000.
We got a motion by member Childers, second by, member Desart. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, member Childers. Moving on to stormwater, member Zay.
Morning, Madam Chair. I move on SMP 26-25, approval of contract use to Christopher B. Burke Engineering, professional engineering services for development of the Sawmill Creek Watershed Plan from December 9th, 2025 through June 30th, 2027. Contract not to exceed $98,500. This is vetted through our qualifications by selection process and compliance with local government professional services selection act.
A motion by member Zay, second by member Heather. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion
Shows
carries.
the abstaining, please.
Member Zay is abstaining on this.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on SMP 27-25, approve a contract issued to Hampton Lazini Renwick for professional engineering services, GIS floodplain mapping services for stormwater management from December 9th, 2025 to November 30th, 2026, for amount not to exceed $75,000. This is also vetted through our qualifications based selection process.
Got a motion by member Zay, second by member Juicy. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move on SMP 28-25, approve a contract issued to Gerwald Hampton Associates, professional engineering and land surveying services for stormwater management from December 9th, 2025 to November 30th, 2026. Contract not to exceed $65,000. This is also vetted through our qualification selection process.
You got a motion by member Zay, second by member Yu. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam
Thank you,
Chair.
member Zay. We move on to technology and member Covert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on TE-P-0026-25, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Environmental Systems Research Institute, Inc. for professional services for GIS support and training for the ESRI Enterprise Advantage Program for Information Technology GIS Division for the period of January 17, 2026 through January 16, 2027, for a contract total amount of $119,400, exempt from bidding, not suitable for competitive bids, sole source. This products and services only available from the provider ESRI Inc.
Motion by member Covert, second by member Evans. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move on TE-R-0004-25, intergovernmental agreement between the County of DuPage and the Tri-State Fire Protection District to permit county staff to perform GIS services.
Got a motion by member Covert, second by member Schwarzy. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, member Covert. We got a transportation and member Ozark.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. I move for approval of 252906, amendment to resolution DTR 18A12, intergovernmental agreement between the County of DuPage and Village of Downers Grove to increase the funding in the amount of $260,208.25 for the county and $263,556.90 for the village.
We've got a motion by member Ozark, second by member Zay. Any discussion on this item? Member Yu.
Yes, I have a quick question with regard to the fact that this is an increase in funding and it's kind of a substantial one of $260,208 for the county. I'm just wondering if there's an explanation with regard to this. I wasn't at Transportation Committee to ask this question.
Stephen and Bill.
So to begin with, the actual contract increase was over $1 million. This is, goes back to 2012. This contract was then amended in 2017. So we're talking about money that has long since been constructed on the street. The feds covered all in all about 75% of that increase. They usually give us an 80-20 split. The reason it's a little less is because 100% of the water main work for Downers Grove was paid for by them. So the reason this amendment is here at all is because they insisted on having a revised amendment resolution so they could pay their portion of the bill, which went up by $260,000.
I see. So the work is already finished. It's more of like a true up. Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. I move to combine items 7G2 to 7G7.
Motion to combine 7G2 to 7G7, you said?
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor of combining? Any opposed? Those items are combined.
Okay, these are all contracts. I move for approval of DTP 5325, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Clean Harbors Environmental Services Incorporated to provide hazardous material testing, disposal, and emergency services as needed for the Division of Transportation, $30,000, Stormwater Management, $10,000 for the period January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2026 for a contract total not to exceed $40,000 per lowest responsible bid. I move for approval of DTP 5425, recommendation for the approval of contract to Imperial Lube and Supply to furnish and deliver auto lubricants as needed for the Division of Transportation for the period January 29th, 2026 through January 28th, 2027 for a contract total not to exceed $50,000 per bid award, first of 3 renewals. I move for approval of DTP 5525, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Hill Mechanical Corporation to furnish and install 2 new gas unit heaters for the Division of Transportation for the period December 10th, 2025 through November 30th, 2026 for a contract total not to exceed $55,089, contract pursuant to Intergovernmental Cooperation Act. I move for approval of DTP 5625, recommendation for the approval of a contract to Lakeside International LLC to furnish and deliver Navistar International OEM replacement parts as needed for the Division of Transportation for the period January 29, 2026 through January 28, 2027 for a contract total not to exceed $75,000, first of 3 renewals. I move for approval of DTP 5725, recommendation for the approval of a contract with Monroe Truck Equipment to furnish and deliver 3 new 2-ton asphalt patch carts for the Division of Transportation for the period of December 10th, 2025 through November 30th, 2026 for a contract total not to exceed $97,785, contract pursuant to Intergovernmental Cooperation Act. And I move for approval of DTP 5825, recommendation for the approval of a contract purchase order to Shorewood Home and Auto to furnish and deliver 4 new John Deere zero-turn mowers for the Division of Transportation for the period of December 10th, 2025 through November 30th, 2026 for a contract total not to exceed $102,271.40, contract pursuant to the Intergovernmental Cooperation Act.
Got a motion by member Ozog, second by member Heather. Any discussion on any of these items? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, and finally, I move for approval of DTR 3725, recommendation for approval of annual financial commitment in support of the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning to consolidate planning of land use and transportation for the 7 counties of northeastern Illinois, $81,640.89.
Got a motion by member Ozog, second by member Desart. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, member Ozog.
Thank you.
Moving back to finance resolutions and Vice Chair Cahill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move for approval on FIR 0205-25, acceptance and appropriation of the DuPage Care Center Foundation Music Therapy Grant Program Year 26 in the amount of $63,486.
Got a motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by member Desart. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIR 0206-25, acceptance and appropriation of the DuPage Care Center Foundation Coordinator Grant Program Year 26 in the amount of $32,500.
We've got a motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by member Glossy. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIR 0207-25, acceptance and appropriation of the DuPage Care Center Foundation Recreation Therapy Grant Program Year 26 in the amount of $30,083.
Motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by Member Galassi. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIR 0003-26, approval of funds for the DuPage Convention and Visitors Bureau for the Hotel Transportation Grant Program in the amount of $75,000 paid for out of ARPA interest.
We've got a motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by Member Yu. We've got some discussion. I think Member Desart was first.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very, very much in favor of this. I spoke with Beth maybe a year ago about this opportunity, and clearly it is benefiting DuPage County and our economic interest. My question is just the $6,700 administration fee. So are we outsourcing the administration for this, or is it in-house? I know it's a small chunk of money, but it's money, $6,700 for the admin fee. Thanks, Beth.
Got Beth Barchetti coming up to answer that question. And put your mic on. There you go. There you go.
How about there? Oh, great. Thank you so much. I have $5,000 for the admin fee. So it was a $50,000 grant, and I've spent all but $22, excuse me. So I have $45,000 worth of program.
Oh, I think I meant the coming year with this new money.
I'm sorry. Yes, the admin for us, I have to pay an accountant. We have to write checks. We have to vet the business. We have to make sure it's good business. So I have about 3 staff people that have to look at all this. And then we have to go and collect the rooming lists, making sure, because we don't pay any money until that group has come actualized. So it's a no risk grant. So there's a lot of steps involved, but it's with our team. And we do keep.
Thank you so much, Beth. And
Sure.
again, I'm very, very much in
Thank you.
favor of
Thank
this.
you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions on this? Member Z?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I'm just a little confused. I was told at the last meeting that we were out of ARPA interest. I don't know, did we put money in Powerball? How did we all of a sudden decide, how all of a sudden do we get another 75,000 ARPA interest, and how much ARPA interest do we actually have left?
Just so happens I have the accounting here. So ARPA interest, the 75,000 has been accounted for a while, because I know that there was a push in the committees to move the 75,000, so that was accounted for. You zeroed out ARPA interest and unaccounted for with the PADS contract that you did. There's zero unaccounted for or unallocated, whether you as a board reallocate, but right now it is zero.
Okay. That brings up a couple other questions. Why isn't this through economic development? Why is this through finance?
Go ahead.
Economic Development Committee does not have its own budget, and that's why all of our items basically go through finance.
Okay. I have questions for Beth. I mean, obviously, I'm tired of hearing that we can't compete with Rosemont, we can't compete with Schaumburg. Well, they have convention centers, so it's a whole different thing than what we have. So I get it, but when you're looking at what happened last year, it only looks like a few hotels are benefiting from this. I mean, the Westin, the DoubleTree. I mean, there's only, how many hotels are participating? It looks like there's only 3 or 4.
So we rely on those hotels to apply for the grant. And if you look at the last item of the results from last year, the last grant, 42 hotels benefited. So that was, all of these are throughout the county. So I was able to shift business from Pleasant Prairie, Wisconsin, from Beloit, Wisconsin to DuPage County hotels. So those went all over the county so that's the closest I can get to a countywide event, since we don't have a convention center in DuPage. This grant is very beneficial. I'm very grateful for it. The results are there, it's proven, and we've had our own grant program since 2015. And if we don't enter this ball game, I think you can see, I think I attached North Shore doesn't have a convention center. We compete with them. Meet Chicago Northwest. There's incentive grants all over the country. So we're just trying to make sure that the funding continues to be there.
Well, you just brought this up. Then can you explain the 42 hotels and $3,000?
So that the portion that I used of the transportation grant, I used my own state LTCB money to help augment a sponsorship. And with that, they use a third-party booking site. So they were agreeing to put us at the top of the list so that DuPage hotels were booked first.
And do any of these hotels have their own? Obviously, they've got vans and stuff. Do they have a program on their own that we're supplementing?
Most of the hotels had to sell off their vans during COVID and don't have those shuttles back.
So how are they picking up? How are they picking up? They don't
We're
use
helping,
many-
the gentleman from Windy City Travel was here at Economic Development, and he's been able to get a lot of the business that is paid for by these grants.
Okay, thank you.
Member you?
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. So yes, this was something that we had discussed, I think at length during Economic Development Committee, and this information was provided to all the board members earlier for the Economic Development Committee members before, and also yesterday for all the board members. But just, I think the really notable highlight that I would like to say is that 5 of the 11 applicants signed for multiple year contracts with DuPage Hotels. So they're going to be coming back, and to have that return business is really important. And that was really as a result of this transportation grant program. To have just $45,000 is what we spent as a county, and then to get room revenue back of 1.978 million. I mean, that is an amazing rate of return. And that is the reason why the Economic Development Committee was interested in increasing this amount, because we want to keep our competitive edge. We want to make sure that people are coming into DuPage. We want to bring these new dollars. We want to keep up our sales tax revenue. These are all good things for the county. So I hope that everybody will support this item. Thank you.
Member Krajewski.
Thank you. And I told the chair that I would support her grant. I think it is much needed. But a couple of things on some bigger scale. I think maybe Economic Development, the chair, maybe reach out to some of the hotel owners, the owners in DuPage County own the hotels, not the managers of the hotels. And there is a role for the Visitors Bureau, but I think they have some other suggestions that they think would be beneficial for them. Transportation clearly is one of them. Second thing, I think Member Everett's mentioned tonight, there's an intergovernmental committee meeting. I know I've spoke with the exec director of DuPage Mayors. One of the things high up on their list is with their municipalities, our partners, is the rule that only non-home rules can only put 25% of their hotel tax into other areas, where all the other towns like Downers Grove and Naperville and Elmhurst can use 100% as they see fit. I know that a number of the non-home rule communities would like to see that up to 50%, and that's what they fought for the last go around. I know those municipalities weren't supportive of it. I know the Visitors Bureau was not. But I think, again, they're reaching out, and you guys can find that out at your meeting. Your local mayors in these non-home rule communities are looking at they feel like they're being held hostage, that they have to give a bunch of their hotel tax to the Visitors Bureau in order to spend 25% of their money on other things, where most of our home rule communities can do what they want, how they see fit in their community. So again, that's probably something you're going to be addressing in your intergovernmental. But I think if, our mayors are on board with that and these non-home rules, we'd probably like the legislative committee to help in support of that down in Springfield.
Thank you, Member Krajewski. Member Honig, did you want to answer that?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to bring up a non-home rule community, which is the Village of Lombard, and they have a great, as Beth knows, a great relationship, DCVB, with the village staff there. We work really well with the village manager, and I was on that board for 6 years, and I think the relationship there proved to be super beneficial for Lombard as a whole, and the hotels involved, especially the Westin, and Lombard is a prime example of all the events that were held in the Westin. As I was there in my time there, the amount of restaurants that had opened up in that time, and the amount of economic development that was fueled by all these different events that were coming from out of state, coming from out of the country. We talk about the bicycling event, which was huge, and so people were staying at our hotels. And even for non-home rule communities, I don't necessarily think they're being held hostage. I think that is an opinion, and I think it is on a case-by-case basis per municipality how they work with DCVB. So I think that's a good conversation to have at intergovernmental, to bring up in question and ask them how they're feeling and what they've been doing and how over the years it's been working or not. But by no means, I mean, just speaking on, for Lombard, I don't think that that's how they feel at all. So again, I'm very much in support of this. I think this is well needed. You guys do a great job, and you guys bring a lot of really good events to all of DuPage. So thank you, Beth.
Thank you, member. May I address
Yeah, go ahead.
the previous comment? Member Kajewski, our board has, we are made up of mayors, hoteliers, so it becomes a little complicated, right? But we've not been against that bill. We in fact stayed neutral on it because we understand parity. So I just want to make sure that that has been out there between home rule and non-home rule communities. Home rule communities still support the Bureau. We do great work in those communities as well. So I know a bill was filed by Representative Deuter. We're watching it, but again, it doesn't impact the Convention and Visitors Bureau because our fees are so much lower. So I just want to make sure that that's out there, that we're not actively fighting that. The way the bill is currently written, it's statewide, and so we're getting clarifications on that because there will be other communities, maybe downstate, that are looking at that as well. So I just want to make sure we were, that you knew that we weren't opposed.
Okay, thank you, Beth. I appreciate that. And one more, member Kajewski.
Yeah, just so everybody understands, the Village of Lombard almost went bankrupt when they built the Westin Hotel. They had to go to Springfield and get legislation to create a public commission to run the Westin Hotel. The debt on that hotel is about $180 million. The hotel is probably worth 40 or 50 million. Because that public commission runs it, it's about $1 million some odd based on New York assessor, what they would pay on that property. It pays zero property tax. So the schools, nobody's benefiting from that hotel, not paying the property taxes on the hotel. The hotel generates about $800,000 in hotel tax, about $200,000 in sales tax from the restaurants that we just heard talk about there. 100% of that hotel tax, 100% of that sales tax goes directly back to the public commission to pay the bondholders. So none of that is going to the Village of Lombard, none of the hotel tax, none of the sales tax from the restaurants there, and it doesn't pay any property taxes. And that's also in a TIF district that they have there, but property, because it's owned by that public commission. They had to go to Springfield, get special legislation. So all those events that are coming in there, yes, they're coming in, but the sales tax from that hotel, the hotel tax go to pay the bondholders. And the bond is 3 times what that hotel is worth. So again, just to educate everybody on that when they're coming there.
Okay, member Zay and the member you to finish.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And again, if we want to get serious about tourism in DuPage County and help Beth and them, another reason I brought up months ago, we need to go and see if we can get home rule, because then we could then get a hotel motel tax, and then like all these other communities have it, generate some money for them then to actually play with the big boys and actually go after some good events and bring tourism, more tourism to DuPage. So hopefully maybe, I know we've been kind of a little busy with some stuff in 25, maybe in 26.
I think that's on our agenda for 2026. Hopefully, yes. Thank you. Member you to finish.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to, well, agree with Member Zay with regard to the home rule issue, but also just to say that, yes, with regard to Westin Lombard, that may be the case, but this hotel transportation grant program benefited, over 60 different hotels just from this year alone for 2025. And we hope that that will continue and expand, obviously, in 2026. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We've got a motion. We've got a second, correct? All in favor of this? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIR 0006-26, additional appropriation for the County Automation Fund, Company 1100, Accounting Unit 2930, in the amount of $270,000 for fiscal year 2025. And I'm going to ask Jeff to come up and give us a little information about this.
Okay, so the next 2 items on here are basically a request to transfer money from the county dock storage fund to the county automation fund to recapture some expenses that occurred in 2025 and what may occur in 2026. So you may recall back in September, we established County Automation Fund back from a request from the county recorder that needed to occur. We did that. We transferred approximately $1 million in prior revenue that was generated in the dock storage over the County Automation Fund. Now we're going back in 2025 and recapturing expenses that were also incurred for bulk storage fees going back to 2019. So that is consistent with the revenue that we recaptured to go back into this fund. So it's just a transfer of money of about $270,000. That's in 2025. In 2026, we are kind of being proactive and budgeting a contingency for any other expenses that might be related to the County Automation Fund.
Thank you, Jeff. Question?
I just wanted to follow up. It's the principle of matching. So matching the revenue with the expenses. So that's the reason for these transfers.
All right, thank you, Jeff, for coming up with that explanation. Okay, we do have a motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by Member Glassy. Is there any other discussion on this item? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIR 0007-26, additional appropriation for the County Automation Fund Company 1100, Accounting Unit 2930 in the amount of $120,000 for fiscal year 26.
Got a motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by Member Galassi. Any discussion on this item? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. I move for approval on FIR 0008-26, revision to FIR 0125-24, 2025 holiday schedule, human resources. Hip hip hooray.
Motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by Member Galassi. Looking over there to see if everybody cheers. I've got question by Member Zay and Member Desire.
While everybody's cheering, Nick, you know what my question is going to be. We all want to do this, but what's the cost to the county on this?
So cutting to
Well, I mean, it's nice, but now we are a 24/7 operation. So you go from a normal day now to a holiday, which means everybody gets paid at time and a half, I would assume.
So I asked our HR department to compare our costs, our running costs for the day after Thanksgiving, which is a good comparison. The only departments that we have that have to do any manpower during that, care center, facilities management, public works, and obviously the sheriff. Those are the only ones. And obviously if we have a snow event, and snow, I mean, it depends if there's a snow event. And so we looked at what we paid for overtime, and I'm not talking the cost of an entire day's salary for the entire county, just overtime for those days. And it's a little bit more difficult in sheriffs because I don't know how they're going to staff, but in care center, public works and public works and facilities management, we were a little bit less than 10,000 in premium time. And so the number of people in those three departments that had to work were 150 people in care center, 13 in facilities, and 15 in public works. That equaled about $10,000. And so, sheriff, and talking with them, it'd be a little bit less than that, but they still have to figure out staffing. So you could double that. And I would say your carrying cost for premium time is about $20,000 to $25,000. But actual salary, I mean, you still have the actual salary. That's just the premium time.
Okay, but then there's salary costs, an additional day.
I'm not even talking salary. The salary for the county is exorbitantly more than that per day. So just premium time for the department to do it. And that assumes there's not going to be a snow day for DOT.
Okay, and we have that budgeted. We've got plenty of.
We are fine for doing it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Member Zay. Member Desire?
Thank you. So now that Scrooge has asked his question, my question is this. I think it's important to keep our most valuable assets, our employees, happy. And so when I was looking at the schedule, I noticed that Juneteenth was listed as a Thursday, which I thought was odd because you take off Thursday and then you have to come back Friday. So I looked at the calendar and Juneteenth is actually a Friday. So my point is that do we need to make an amendment to this schedule? Because in the board documents, it's listed as Thursday and it's not a Thursday.
I'll tell you what, this item is also on county board, give us a chance to look at it, and if you're right, let's absolutely amend that in county board.
Thanks.
Then you should take Friday off as well.
Member Galassi.
Thank you.
Okay, hold on.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to thank Member Zay for asking the question because, to be honest, I hadn't contemplated overtime, so I'm glad that he brought that up. I do want to say that, you know, as we go through like discussing medical insurance and benefits that we have here, the fact that this day off after Christmas will cost the county $20,000, I think is a very strong investment for us to make. So I'm very thankful that Member Zay brought that to our attention, that there will be overtime costs associated with this decision. But I personally think that that is a very good investment in our employees. So I'm very supportive of this. Thank you.
Okay. Member Gajewski.
Yeah, I'm definitely in support of it. And I think when you called during the week, we just talked about that overtime is only 20 grand, you just lose one day of productivity. But I think about a year or 2 years ago when we were talking about Juneteenth, I think the number came up that our payroll's about $1 million a day.
No, I can go through that. So we look at like our carrying costs for an entire day of payroll at the county, all departments is right around $750,000,
I said it was close to $1 million, so $750,000, but it's just really one day of lost productivity. It's not costing us anything except the premium time, so.
And if you've ever worked the day after Christmas on a Friday, there's no productivity. I'm just telling you now.
Tumbleweeds going around the hall.
There, I've done that. There's no.
Most of them probably take off anyway.
And I will tell
You're
you,
not losing anything.
when our chair introduced this concept, she absolutely looked at what the costs are, what the impacts would be. And this was part of her decision process when she wanted to move this forward for the board's consideration.
Okay, thank you, Nick. I appreciate that. Thank you. All the comments?
For the June 19th, for the June 19th, that's for this calendar year. It was a Thursday. We had the Juneteenth. It was June 19th.
But aren't we talking about approving for next calendar
No,
year,
this is
2026?
It's 2025. It's this year.
We're approving 2025 on December 9th.
So
It's the amendment.
So this is the amendment that we are considering today is to add the day after Christmas as a holiday. And I will tell you, there's past precedents where we've done the same thing. I mean, you as a board approved the 25 holiday schedule back in 24. This is adding an additional day one time because how Christmas is falling on a Thursday to give Friday. So this is just a one-time change. You guys, the chair wanted to introduce to consider for this year. This is not a permanent change by any means.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or just vote? Yay. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. great
Okay,
news.
I move to receive and place on file payment of claims, B, appointments. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. We got a motion by Vice Chair Cahill, second by Member Galassi. Any discussion on any of these items? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we've got a presentation regarding Mission Square. I'm going to invite you guys up to do your presentation and introduce yourself. Turn the okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think we're just going to switch presentations around. Thank you for the opportunity to present annually to the board today. My name is Vince Allegra. I'm a partner and managing director with Creative Planning. So today we're going to give an update on the status of the county's deferred comp 457 program. But for today, instead of being able to just stand up here and say, we're up 15 to 20% this year, I thought it'd be a great opportunity to, we have some new faces on the committee, take a step back and kind of where we were, where we're at today. And then we're also going to talk when Ray gets up from Mission Square, kind of where we're going with the deferred comp program. I wanted to do a little bit of a history lesson here and go back in time. Thank you. Next slide, please. So back in 2018, Mesro Financial at the time, now Creative Planning, was hired through the RFP process to do an evaluation of the county's deferred comp program. So here's a list of kind of the findings from that analysis. There were 5 different vendors at the time. The weighted average expense, the fees to run the program, which are fully paid for by the employees who participate in the deferred comp plan, had an average of 1.12%. When we looked at where employees invest their money, and again, employees direct how to invest their deferred comp, the largest holding in the plan at the time was in the fixed account, which is like a money market alternative. It had about $23 million, or about 30% of total plan assets. So employees were very conservatively allocated with the deferred comp. We found less than $2 million in target date funds, which are the professionally managed solution. And when you looked across all 5 vendors, there were somewhere between 200 and 300 different investment options to choose from. There was no formal strategy to educate and inform employees. And then there was really no strategy on an ongoing basis for fiduciary oversight and governance. So in 2019, we did an RFP, we restructured the plan, we consolidated all 5 vendors with one vendor, Mission Square, won that RFP process. So if I can go to the next slide. These are the kind of, again, the talking points here. We knew the fees were high, and there were great opportunities to improve the quality of the plan. Next slide, please. So going to current state, where we stand today. Next slide, please. Back in 2018 on the left, and then where we stand today on the right. So through the consolidation process, we were able to reduce fees from the 1.1%. The all-in fees to run the county's deferred comp program today is 0.24%. We saved 90 basis points on roughly $100 million, which is about $900,000 a year in savings that has been delivered to your employees over the last 5-6 years. When we look at the allocation, though, the numbers actually get even better. So back in 2018, we had almost 24 million in cash earning 2 to 3%. Today, that number has been cut in half. Employees utilizing professionally managed investments and target dates went from under 2 million. Today, it is the largest holding in the plan with over 50% of assets and over $50 million. I'll talk about in a second. Those investments over the last 5 years have averaged between 10 and 12% per year in a return versus 2 to 3% where they were 5 years ago. Instead of 200 investments, they have 18 today. But the 18 they have today are super high quality, very low fee institutional investments. And then we look at employees participating in the deferred comp program. Back in 2018, 22%. And we've seen some improvement here over the last 5 years that has increased to 27%. So the next slide, please. When we look at the investments very quickly, the quality of the underlying investments are also were huge improvements. This is a simple dashboard. It's a yellow light, red light, green light system. You'll see the investments within the county's plan today are almost all green lights. We have one yellow light. It's a very minor yellow light. So basically of the 18 investments, 17 of the 18 are either meeting or exceeding our investment criteria. So not only have we been able to reduce the fees, but the quality of the investments have also improved substantially. So when you look through the investment lineup today, the county employees have a phenomenal program. really low fees, and is performing exceptionally well. The next slide is just the rest of the lineup. And then one more slide, please. Really getting into the underlying performance in these pages. I would just really wanted to highlight the trailing 5-year performance, because that's what your employees have actually experienced. When you scroll up and down the 5-year number, the average investment in the county's deferred comp plan is up over 10% per year over the last 5 years. So I guess I'll pause there to see if there's any questions. And
Okay, looks like we have a few. Member Galassi?
Thank you, and thanks for being here. Just a couple comments. I mean, to bring the fees down from 1.12 to 0.24 is amazing, so thank you for that. Also, I just had a question. Right now, you said in 2018, we had 22% participation, and now we're at 27. Obviously, we'd love to see that at 100%. What is the industry standard, and do you have a goal in mind? Like, is there a way to move that number even higher?
that is definitely, I think, one of the main priorities. Ray 14 from Mission Square is going to get up here in a second, talk about all those different efforts we have to try to really move that needle.
Okay.
But I think from a fiduciary, from an investment fiduciary fee perspective, the plan's in great shape. I think that is the one area that we can definitely keep looking to improve.
Okay, perfect. And then just one last question. You said over the last 5 years, it's averaged a 10% rate of return. How does that compare to the markets?
We compare it versus peers and benchmarks.
Mhm.
We're at or above in every category.
Excellent. All right, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Ozod?
Along the same lines, my question, you've got under 30% participation. Would you say that's sort of normal nationwide? And is that a reflection of the fact that people don't feel they can save for retirement? Is this more of a national problem versus specific to DuPage County?
It is definitely so. Within government, contributing to the deferred comp plan, the participation rate is lower than we see in the private sector, where the 401k is their only source of retirement. Within government, you obviously have the pension, which is the main focus. This has always been considered a supplemental plan, an optional plan. But what we're trying to do is create awareness amongst employees that the pension plan is a phenomenal benefit. They're very lucky to have such a great retirement benefit, but there's a gap. And the 457 plan is the best way to fill that gap. So creating awareness and education around that, it's not, and especially for your newer, younger hires, especially in the tier 2 system, the 457 plan becomes more and more important. So I think looking at the absolute number, I think, again, government participation rates in deferred comp plans are lower nationally. But looking at the trend, we're moving in the right direction. Obviously, I think that's an area that we can continue to improve.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, Member Dessert?
Asked and answered. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions? I guess my only question was, do we do any matching here at the county?
They do not.
We do not. Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
Good morning. Good to see everybody. My name is Ray Fortin. I'm with Mission Square Retirement. As Vince mentioned, they went through and consolidated the 5 vendors down to 1. We were lucky enough to win that award back in 2020. We've been the provider since then. Just waiting for the presentation to come online. I will address some of the questions raised about participation and what we're doing to get that moving forward. So if you can move a slide, please. So as of the end of October, the amount of assets in the plan are a little over $96 million. As of yesterday, it was $97.1 million that is invested in the plan. There's over 1,400 individuals that are participating in the retirement plan. The average balance there, in the third column there to the right, $68,246. Why do I bring up that number? Well, we kind of look at that number kind of to benchmark how the individuals are doing saving for retirement. So when you look at the private sector out there with 401k plans, the average account balance for individuals there is a little over $100,000. But what that $68,000 does not include is the pension plan that was mentioned previously. So you pair that pension defined benefit money in with what individuals are doing saving for their retirement in the plan today, they're well on their way to meeting their retirement goals. Next slide, please. Looking at the asset allocation. Now, obviously, Vince talked about all the good work him and his team did in consolidating the assets and moving things around and lowering the expenses. So here's how your participants are investing their money today. On the left-hand side, and each illustration is done in age ranges. You can see the majority of the money is for those in the ages of 50 to 69 there by the height there of the bar chart. The different colors represent different asset classes. The navy blue color is the target date funds. Those are the asset allocation funds. That's what Vince talked about. A lot of money moved out of the fixed income account, and we defaulted people into the target date funds. These are investments that are age-based and are diversified just by their nature. So as an individual younger, it's more aggressive. As they age and get older, it becomes more conservative. This is really where we want people to invest their dollars, because to be honest, most individuals don't understand investing, don't care about understanding investing, and tell me what to do. So that's why we have these types of options in the plan. The illustration on the right side shows the same information, except where their money from each payroll that they're contributing, where their dollars are going to. So out of each payroll, where's my money being invested? And again, you can see that navy blue color, those are the target date funds. So more and more money that is being invested is going into the target date funds, which again, that's where we would like to see the money go.
Sorry, I don't know if you have this. I'm assuming those are like that chart on the left, that's raw dollar balances as opposed to participation percentages.
That's correct.
Okay, do you have that chart for participation percentages
So
by age? I'm just curious because, you know, I'd love to see the younger kids, the younger employees, I should say, you know, contributing. And I know that that demographic might be harder to convince that they should be contributing. So I'm just wondering if you have that by age.
I have something by age coming up.
Okay,
shortly.
perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions on this slide? Go to the next slide, please. So here, again, looking at the information in a different way, $96 million in the plan. Those that are actively contributing, 726, a little over $45 million. And more importantly, and something you may not know, those that are separated from service, either retired or terminated their service with DuPage County, $578, $41.7 million. 43% of the assets in the plan are held with those that are no longer with the county. 47% are in actively assets within the county. The bar chart down below represents those that are actively contributing and separated from service by age group. Obviously, the younger group is less, because I think you might not have a lot of younger employees, but also it's tough to get them in. Currently, there are 77 individuals that are actively contributing under the age of 70, 125, 30 to 39, 196, 40 to 49, 223, 50 to 59, 108, 60 to 69 that are actively contributing. And you still have 7 individuals over the age of 69 that are contributing to this retirement plan.
Do you happen to have that by percentages though? Because I don't know like what the buckets are, you know, by age group, the
So
percentages.
one of the challenges in the public sector versus the private sector is how information is shared with us as the record keeper. And it's just not DuPage County, but it's across all public sector plans. they don't provide the total eligibles to us. And it's that type of data that if we had, we could give you those types of numbers. Now, that's not to say we couldn't get it. I know the county is going through a payroll integration, and that's going to come online sometime in 2026. And going to that system may allow them to provide that level of information to us. Next slide, please. So we talked about the next two slides kind of get into a little more detail in terms of the participation and the growth and where we see it and kind of the struggles, some of the struggles we have with it. So this slide is showing the actives, those that are actively contributing versus those that are separated from service, and the growth of those numbers from 2020 to year-to-date 2025. So we had 652 actively contributing in 2020 when everything consolidated. We have 726 today. Those separated from service, it was 480 back in 2020. We have 578 today. So there was an 11% increase in those that are actively contributing from 2020 to 2025. There was a 20% increase in those that have separated from service from 2020 to 2025. So those numbers also play into the participation or lack thereof. And if you go to the next slide, this is the enrollments. So we provide education services to all the employees about the retirement plan. And this shows from 2020 through 2025, how many enrollments we were able to garner by talking to individuals and get them to join the plan. Over that time frame, there was 612 individuals that joined the plan. That's an average of 102 per year over that time frame. What we're fighting is we've got people coming in, but we have that many plus leaving employment with the county, either retiring or moving on to other things. Does that make sense to everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Next slide. So what are we doing to educate the individuals? So Kim Brownlee, I'm not sure if everybody knows Kim, but she's been around here for some time. She does, I think, an outstanding job in meeting with everybody. And she's gaining more and more support from the various departments. They're reaching out to her now and setting up meetings with her for her to come in and talk with individual departments. We had 36 on-site days in 2025, 33 virtual days dedicated only to DuPage County and education and meeting the education needs of the employees. She did 176 consultations. We had 108 enrollments, as I mentioned. She's done group meetings, and she can do more than the 4 she did. She did a Roth lunch and learn. She met in the public defender's office, the family center, etc. She continues to do that. She's been doing a lot more with the health department. And as I think you all know, there's quite a few employees over there. So she's gaining a lot of traction. In addition to Kim's work, we've did over 49 CFP webinars. These are open to all the employees, regardless if you participate or not in the retirement plan. These are 2 to 3 per month. We had a CFP on-site meeting here. One of our certified financial planners came on site and did a group meeting and met with individuals one-on-one. She did 25 consultations there. And we were able to roll in, so money that people had from other providers when they joined the county, they decided to roll those dollars in, just a little less than $1 million came into it. Next slide. So we've been a provider to the county for 34 years. Obviously, we shared that with other vendors for most of those 34 years, but we've been the sole provider for the last 6 years. So we want to thank the county for their partnership. The human resource team does an outstanding job in coordinating with us and providing us access and information to help your employees save for retirement. We do want to get those numbers up, but I think when you looked at the enrollment numbers, you can see, there's a lot going on. I don't want to say we're in competition with the defined benefit plan, but we kind of are. Individuals really need to look at those and pair them together to save for retirement. But unfortunately, when you sit down with these individuals and meet with them one-on-one, a lot of people are struggling out there. And the fact that they have required contributions to go into defined benefit plan, a lot of them just can't afford that extra money to go into the supplemental plan. We all know they should, but sometimes it just doesn't happen. But we appreciate your partnership, and thank you. I'm open for any questions.
Thank you so much. Member Covert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for coming out here and for your wonderful presentation. It is very important to invest in retirement, and I noticed that we were talking about young people, and it is a concern with young people not being able to invest. And I don't think it's an interest issue or them not paying attention. But I just wanted to maybe get some solutions, some ideas on how we can encourage young people in today's time, because I mean, we know that living expenses are higher. There's higher interest rates for home purchases. A lot of young people have student loans that they're graduating with all these different variables and this economic time right now. It's becoming harder and harder for them to just, wages are not increasing significantly for them either, unfortunately. So they can't afford to save up for retirement. I don't know what we can do to make that happen, or incentivize, or have a program maybe within this retirement plan.
Right. It is a challenge, and it's not just a challenge here in DuPage, it's across the country. You mentioned several factors, people want to buy a home, people have student loans they have to pay off, things of that nature. Some of the things we're doing, we have a communication campaign that is focused on various individuals based upon those life stages or age ranges that I was illustrating earlier. And those go out directly to those individuals, and they're focused upon their ages. So the youngest group is just join the plan. We don't care if it's $5, $10 per pay right off, but once you get in, most people stay in. Some of the other discussions I've had with human resources, actually, we met yesterday and had a nice conversation, was related to onboarding. When individuals are hired within the county, provide us with a list of those individuals and let us proactively reach out to them and talk to them about the merits of saving for retirement and why it's important. And just start with a little, and that little can add up over time. So those are some of the things we're looking at.
Member Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Ray, and thank you, Vince, for this presentation. I'm blown away by how low the costs that you are able to, your fees are. And I guess my question is, I would love to see these enrollments go up. This is probably for Chris, but when can employees participate? Can they participate from the first paycheck?
Yes, there is no waiting period.
Oh, that's great.
So, and it is for all regular, full-time, part-time positions. So,
Okay.
yeah, we do not have a waiting period. This
Can we do like an auto enrollment? Like, so do they get the paperwork when they first,
It's
when,
their
get
new
that packet?
hire
Okay.
paperwork packet is includes that. So the benefit packet that they receive and pick up has materials in regards to the 457 plan
Okay.
right away. And we talked about maybe identifying people after maybe 60 or 90 days, because it is a little bit overwhelming when you start a new job. It's like insurance and all these optional things and just learning your job and where do I park. So, we thought about maybe doing another follow-up touch point with these employees, like once they're settled in a minute, to see if kind of putting that in front of them again to encourage them. And they've been really proactive in being on site, and a lot of email information we send out, and we retain everything on our intranet, that videos and everything that they can use at their fingertips, so when it's convenient for them. But yeah, we've talked about how do we reach and kind of get that in front of them again, especially those capturing those new hires.
Okay, so maybe, is it 6 months probation before they can get, start taking vacation? That might be a good time to check in with them and say, hey, now you have vacation time and
Right.
here's something else that you have been maybe thinking about.
Mhm.
But is there a way for us to give a new employee how if you open a checking account, you get $200 from like Chase Bank. Can we offer, I mean, this is a county board discussion, but could we offer that? Is that legal to offer them $200 if you participate?
There is a matching program,
Mhm.
that would be a bigger discussion that we
Right.
have. I know employers, private sector employers that this is their only avenue, sometimes consider a matching incentive to employees that participate. So.
Okay, well, I mean, matching might cost a little too much money for us as a county, but if we just give each employee $200 to enroll, and then that's it, that might be enough to get them to enroll. Whereas I know it's so hard to get these employees to enroll. It's very, very hard to get them to participate if they haven't done it. So maybe a small incentive would be something that we could consider.
We could look at that.
Thanks.
Okay, any other questions? Member Galassi?
I'm just going to kind of reiterate some of the conversation, but I really like the idea of doing an additional touch point because I just think, to your point about so many people don't want to understand investing or care to know it, but I think if you can have a one-on-one conversation with a graph of, if you invest this much today when you're 55, that $5 a paycheck will be this much. It's like those graphs are so powerful when kids can see them, and I don't know that every employee would understand that, it's not costing them $1, it's costing them the dollar less their tax bracket. So it's, plus the 10% rate of return that you guys have seen. So, what is the real cost? It's not dollar for dollar. The real cost is probably 60 cents on the dollar. So, to then see this payout when you're 55, I just think having that one-on-one conversation could be really powerful and help move the needle. So I'm glad to hear that that's going to be implemented. Thank you.
Any other, Member Kuchewski?
One quick question, I don't know, maybe been covered, but with the catch-up provisions, I don't know how much we worked on with HR and our employees, if they're near retirement, when they get their pay, and if you've seen anybody using that?
Yes, quite a few people use the catch-up provisions here, and so the catch-up for provisions, for those that you don't know it, an individual that is 50 years and older can put in incrementally more dollars in savings than those 50 years and younger. And so we do see quite a bit of activity within the plan for those taking advantage of that.
You've got the 61, 62, 63, and then my guess is when they're looking to retire and they got the built up pay that's coming out, like their retention pay, then they have the ability to put that in, do the catch up. And so I assume we give them that notice, explain that to them when they're looking towards retirement and they get that payout. Seeing Chris nod her head a lot. Because that's kind of, that's a good thing. It's one of the complaints that a number of people had, and especially under EO offices, and why they were bringing their own people in to kind of help their employees with these decisions to be made. It sounds like you're much more proactive under your leadership.
Right. Well, we have implemented meeting with employees as they are looking to retire and off board. We go through and meet with those individuals and sometimes spouses to kind of talk about all the options. And that is something that is brought up in that. And we do try to promote it. We do see, because there's additional forms that have to be done when they exceed, depending upon what they contribute to it one time. But we do work in tandem with Mission Square, and we do see that activity.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions regarding this presentation? Okay, I don't see any. Thank you so much for the presentation today. It was very, very good. Okay, is there any old business today? Any new business? Can you get a motion to adjourn? Motion and adjournment.